Hello, my fellow Taurians. This is Michelle coming at you with Page of Wands Intuitive Tarot and Oracle. I'm really excited to be here doing your Twin Flame Skeptic Twins and Separation reading. I'm sorry about the light, guys. That always happens with my camera. I don't know why. But I'm so excited to be coming to you because I actually am a Taurus as well. And so obviously really excited to do this reading because it will also be my reading. And it's raining outside. Today is the 1st of July, so this will be your reading for the next 30 days. And this is my first round of Twin Flame Skeptics Twin and Separation readings. And what I mean by skeptic is that this is for anybody that's been going through the Twin Flame journey and or you've been going through a lot of sort of cataclysmic life events. Maybe a lot of your towers have sort of crumbled and fallen down. And if you feel like you've gone through a dark night of the soul and that a lot of this shift was sort of facilitated by a catalyst relationship, which could be defined as a twin flame relationship or a karmic relationship or a soul connection, however you define it, that's sort of what we're exploring here. When I use the word skeptic, that is because I'm really interested in connecting with other people like myself who read up on the twin flame journey, probably listen to other twin flame readers, have explored the communities and the information out there, and maybe you're just not quite so accepting of all of the information that there is, and you have some questions, and you really I believe that this is more about concentrating on the actual journey, the inner soul mission that I believe the twin flame journey really brings about, right? Because we've been sort of forced to look at ourselves, from the perspective of somebody else. So when you have that mirror held up to you, I believe what happens and what's supposed to happen, and the point of that is that we are forced to kind of confront our shadow selves, face our fears, face the darker parts of ourselves that we maybe have been hiding away or not facing in order to explore what it is about us that we can improve. And then this in turn helps to get our souls tempered to kind of a higher level to where we can come into our own, be better people, and attract better things in our lives. So that's the gist of it, guys. The deck I've been using for the twin flame readings is my Tarot of the Old Path deck. I've had this deck for 20 years. It's really beautiful because I do feel like this is a little bit of a special reading because it's Taurus and I'm Taurus. And I have a lot of Taurians in my life that I'm very close to. My son, my 5-year-old son, Orion, who's dealing with cancer right now. If you've watched some of my intro videos, he's a Taurus. My mother is a Taurus. My brother is a Taurus. We actually were born on the same day, 5 years apart. Both my grandmothers are Tauruses. They were both born on the same day, April 29th, and mine and my brother's birthday is April 30th. My mom's is April 25th. My best friend's is April 25th. My son's is May 18th. So just a lot of Taurians in my life and that I've known, and I love you guys. Obviously, we're all extremely different. But I want to start this with a reading I was doing last night, which was just a quick little spread. And these two cards, I didn't want to put them away because I just felt like it was appropriate to talk about them. And they are Softly, the Tender Touch. This one is by Elena Fairchild from the Sacred Rebels deck. These cards are just really beautiful, and I've gotten this card a lot. See how she's kind of like crying? And she's sort of like, she's got her hands up to her mouth, and she's sort of like in this lotus blossom up on her head, and she's sort of like, it's about bringing in and attracting and manifesting what you want and deserve in your life by putting yourself in a mindset of receiving. And this was in a big message that I had for for one of the last videos I did on the difference between surrendering and letting and giving up. And I talk about moving ourselves into the realm of receiving, to where we feel we kind of cultivate our self-worth and we get ourselves to a place where we honestly feel worthy of receiving whatever it is we want and we desire. But it's not about grasping and pushing and pulling and using force, right? It's about using a really gentle, feminine kind of of method to where we are just trying to be at peace with ourselves and not punish ourselves so much, and again get to a place where we feel worthy and where we trust that the universe will bring us what we truly desire and what we truly want at the time that is right for us. Okay. And then on top of that, or with that card, is the love card from my Vintage Wisdom Oracle deck. And this card is just so beautiful too. And the colors together were just like so perfect, with the purples and the pinks and this like beautiful light imagery. And this one has a goddess playing the flute and sort of attracting this dove. You've got the light in the background, and I mean, there's nothing that really needs to be over-explained with the card love, right? But I did feel that this particularly pertained, excuse me, to love. This attraction through gentleness, right? So anyway, I just thought that that might ring appropriate for some of you Tauruses, because I think a lot of us are really hard on ourselves. And I think a lot of us work really, really hard. And obviously I am projecting here. You know I work hard, and I know sometimes I beat myself up and I get super defensive because I a lot of times go through life like I have something to prove. And I'm trying to change that about myself and realize that I don't have to try and strive so hard, and that I don't have to be so forceful with myself. This plays out more with how I treat myself than with how I treat other people. I'm not a forceful kind of leader when it, or colleague or worker when it comes to working with other people. I'm not forceful at all. I can be aggressive and I can be assertive in what I want, but I don't believe I'm forceful, but I do believe I am with myself. And that sometimes that's what outwardly affects my relationships with other people in more of a negative manner. Okay. So anyway, I thought maybe you would find that appropriate. And I'm not going to read you the whole descriptor from that Softly, Softly, the Tender Touch card, but I will read you this little healing process prayer because I thought it was really lovely. And it says, and this is something you can say aloud or just take what you will from the message: I shine like the sun, radiant with grace, and all that I desire comes to me according to perfect timing. I relax, believe, and receive. Through unconditional love, this is now so. Okay, guys, so that's it. Relax, believe, and receive. Now we're going to move on to your tarot reading. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 cards on the left-hand side for the Divine Masculine. And I've already meditated and shuffled these cards, just so you know. So I'm doing 3 cards on the left-hand side for the Divine Masculine, and I'm doing 3 cards on the right-hand side for the Divine Feminine. You guys are going to love this, okay? And then in the middle, I'm going to do 2 connecting cards, and I do leave those cards face down just because I don't like to really look at the connecting energy until I've gone through the masculine and feminine side on their own, okay? So first things first, let's look at Divine Masculines. We have the 5 of Cups. And this is a card all about grief. That poor man has spilled all of his cups. He is upset and he's worried. And there's a child, I believe, in the background holding another cup, right? Saying, but look, I have another cup. It's cool. All your cups didn't spill. But this guy's only concentrating on the 3 cups in front of him that spilled, right? And he's got one right there next to his hand. So the message about this card is it is one of deep grief and sadness. Okay, so I'm not trying to trivialize that at all. It's definitely here. There's a grief and a sadness here. But what he's failing to see is that there are 2 cups. So this man isn't paying attention to the other opportunities and the other things in his life that are still good. Okay, whatever this is that he's upset about, cups being the suit of emotions. So of course this is a very emotional card. And it's watery in the water play symbolism because the cups are overturned, right? So that's sort of representative of this sadness. But what it is about this loss is that it isn't all loss. There's hope here. So Divine Masculines, if you're feeling like all has been lost in a certain situation in your life and you're not going to get it back, then you might need to look at it from a different perspective. Now, one message I get with this card that I feel is very, very important to drive home is the necessity of sitting in grief, which a lot of people don't do. It's like sadness being a part of a process, okay? When we go through a grieving process, sadness is part of it. And it's absolutely necessary that we work through our grief and we sit in our sadness sometimes, because from sadness comes lessons. And maybe that's what these 2 cups are that are here. Opportunity and a lesson, or just 2 lessons, okay? So that's the first card. Right under that, we have the 3 of Swords reversed. This is a heartbreak card. Okay, sometimes it does denote third-party situations. I do get that in my readings a lot. There could definitely have been a third-party situation. I believe it is in the past, and I believe it is fading out. This could also just be a card of heartbreak on 3 different levels, right? I've seen this personally in my own life as heartbreak on 3 different levels. There are 3 things that are really breaking me down here. And that could be very true for you masculines as well. But I do feel like this energy is fading out. Keep in mind, it's right in the middle. So let's look at the card right underneath it, which is this really wonderful Ace of Pentacles. This card is about planting seeds, right? The rabbit is representative of fertility, or the hare, right? That wild hare. And then you've got this pentacle in the middle. And you've got these sort of like horns on this table. And then in the background, you've got a castle, a walkway leading to a castle. So what this is about is this is all about the planting of a seed, right? The seed of something that has to do with health, wealth, and spirituality, because that's how I look at the Suit of Pentacles. So seed has been planted here, masculines, with you. I really believe, and I believe this is a very foundational card, not just because it is an earthy card with the Suit of Pentacles, and it has to do with health, wealth, and spirituality, you know, which are very foundational things. But this is an ace card, which is all about new beginnings. And so the fertility aspect here is all about something being planted, something happening, something being implemented that is going to grow into something else, right? So this can be a project. This can be a new job. This could just be the foundation of the relationship with the feminine, right? That maybe the relationship and the way that it started planted a very strong seed that has the potential to grow. But there was some heartache that happened, right? That's hopefully moving out, but we can't deny the presence here. And there's been a lot of grief. And this is the top card, this grief card. So I think that you are still sitting in this, and you're still going through this process of being really, really upset over whatever this heartbreak was. Okay? So let's move over to feminines. Feminine, your first card is the Lovers, which is obviously very appropriate, especially given the fact that we drew these cards. These cards were left over from a reading last night that I felt was important to leave and talk about. And then the first card we pull for you is the Lovers. So I believe, obviously, feminines, these cards are very feminine. You know, the softly, softly, the tender touch talks about feminine power. This is all about making a choice of using whether or not to use your heart or your head. And I believe when it's in the upright, it speaks more of using your heart and following your heart. And I believe this card is representative of the twin flame union. And it's representative of an ideal of love, right? This isn't just a twin flame union in the way that it is sanctioned here in the earthly realm, in what people refer to as the 3D world, right? This has to do with more of a universal cosmic love. And I really do look at this as a love ideal. You've got the angel in the background there, the giant sun, the fruit on the tree, lots of symbolism here. And I think this is all about an ideal of something you want and something, the thing that's in your head. Perhaps you are very big romantics. I know I am. for sure, big time, you know? And so whatever this is, there's a really strong, beautiful sense of love here and possibility for love here, real love that really does have a sort of cosmic sanctioning to it, right? Had a little bit of a divine touch to it. So that's fantastic. Or again, this is about a choice that you are making with your heart, and you are, I believe you are very committed to this choice that's in your heart, okay? But right underneath that, we have the 8 of Swords. This person is dealing with some pain, right? Some mental pain. But it's not all mental. Part of this, in the 8 suits, as opposed to the 9, part of this pain has to do with outlying factors that aren't necessarily of your own volition, okay? And sometimes I see, or I did in another reading for Divine Masculines when they got this card, I forget which sign, but I mentioned that the dark side of him is turned away and the light side is turned towards the front. So sometimes I look at this as being symbolic of your shadow self and maybe not fully still connecting with it. Okay, but I do believe that the 8 of Swords is representative of some outside influences that are still keeping you in a place of mental anguish. So whatever this mental anguish is for you, I'm not sure, but it probably has something to do with love and your lover, the type of love that you want. I think that you think that it's still not attainable, and there's something you're not getting, and something that's standing in the way. Okay, because right underneath that, we have the 2 of Cups. And this is in the upright, which is very positive because this is symbolic of a very giving and harmonious partnership. All right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be representative of a partnership with our twin. It could be a business partnership or a partnership with a loved one. But I mean, this is a twin flame reading, so I'm kind of going to just take it as twin flame. Because sometimes readers read the 2 of Cups as the twin flame card, and sometimes you see the Lovers as the twin flame card. And then when you've got them both here, I think that this love and this recognition of your relationship with your masculine and the twin flames on a whole is really powerful for you. And I believe you are very accepting of it. And I believe that the potential is very much here. But you've got this linking card in the middle, this sort of connecting card of the 8 of Swords, which is a mental turmoil and some fear and an outlying factor that is keeping you in this state, right? And maybe this has something to do with this heartache on the masculine side. It's working its way out, but something's not quite gone. Something's still happening here, right? That's making you, for whatever reason, feel like you aren't quite there, you know? So we're going to explore that a little bit more. I'm going to clarify on that. I'm going to get to the connecting energy cards right now. And the first one is the Sun in reverse. Wow. Guys, to me, right away, I see this as something not coming to light yet. All answers not being revealed. Okay, we're not in this state. Masculines and feminines, you're not able to be in this state yet, where this phoenix has risen and you're seeing the sun and the clouds are parting and everything's like, you know, the angels are coming out and everything's beautiful and wonderful and bathed in light. You're not there. You're in the shadows still. There's a shadow here still because everything has not been able to come to light. And I will say that I'm going to just assume this has to do with your timing, and it just hasn't been the right time yet. All has not yet been revealed. Okay, what's the one underneath that? Let's see. 8 of Cups in reverse. Somebody's not moving on emotionally. Someone is not allowing themselves emotionally to get to a better place that has more meaning and more fulfillment to them. And I am just going to venture to say, masculines, this might have something to do with this. This emotional grief and this sadness and this refusal to see potential, or this refusal to learn your lessons. Okay? I think that's what's really going on here. Or this inability to remove yourself from a negative situation. Emotionally speaking, again, guys, okay? This isn't a card of action. This is a card of feeling. right? How you feel about something, how you choose to be emotionally affected by your situations. This is how you choose to connect with other people, how you move through your relationships with other people, the things that you take to heart, the things that you let people say that hurt you, the things that you allow to make you feel like you're not worthy. This is keeping yourself in a situation that's not fulfilling because it's not serving your soul and it's not making your heart feel good, right? So whatever this is, this could also be the cause of your 8 of Swords, feminines. And these are 2 8s right here, okay? 8 of Cups reversed, connecting energy, 8 of Swords. So feminines, either the masculine's inability to learn his lessons, come out of his grief and understand that there might still be something here in this relationship, which is why you've got this foundational card here, because the foundation has been set. The seed has been planted. The potential is here. This heartbreak is making its way out, but it's still there. Maybe the masculine felt like his heart was really broken and he's still really sad and he's not able to get over it. There might be an air of non-forgiveness here. There might be an unforgiveness, which is what's keeping the feminine feeling trapped. Not only of just her own volition because she's upset and she has fear about this relationship ever happening, but because there's something that is not allowing it to. And I think that this has to do with forgiveness. I'm just going to put that out there. Let's keep going. I'm trying not to make these too long, guys, but who am I fooling? We're at like 20 minutes already, and I'm just not clarifying. So this is probably going to be about a 40-minute video. And again, I do apologize. I'm trying to keep them around 25 to 30, but I like to be thorough. So I'm just giving a little shuffle here for divine masculines. This is for Taurus. And again, something I'd like to point out, this can be, if you are a Taurian divine masculine, then I'm hoping that you would get messages on the divine masculine side. And then also see some of these sides for your feminine as useful, or it could just be taking it as, for your reading. Divine feminine, same thing. This could be you and your masculine, or this could just be, your reading and then divine masculine Taurians, but if this is resonating with you on either side, that doesn't mean that your twin flame has to be the same sign. Does that make sense? So hopefully whoever is watching this will get something out of it. That's sort of supposed to be the point. I think that these readings can be very nuanced, and there's always multiple messages. So I do try to bring those out so it sort of fits whoever it is watching this. Okay? I don't know if any of that made sense, but hopefully you got the gist. All right, divine masculines for Taurus. Let's get some clarifiers here on this 5 of Cups and this 3 of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay, so masculines, what I got on top of your 5 of Cups is the Page of Pentacles. This would be the next stage of movement from this. Okay, the foundation that's been set, and then this is coming into a spirit. Yes, this could be a young earth sign. Okay, this could be you, for sure. This could just be energy that you are embodying as well, because I don't read court cards as being specific to their sign all the time, because there's too many signs in our chart and it doesn't make sense to me. But it is possible that this is you, since Taurus is an earth sign, and that you are starting to move into this phase where you see possibility and you feel like there's potential. This page is all about potential, right? This is the potential to make something work. This is the potential to put in an effort. This person is determined and practical, dependable, reliable. This is kind of like an apprentice card to me. This is a guy that's willing to learn and willing to really put what he knows into practical action. Okay, and he's got some flowers there that he's holding. You see those purple flowers? I'm going to have to look up and see what they're symbolic of, but they remind me of bleeding hearts. That sort of just occurred to me. We had bleeding hearts in our garden when I was growing up in Pennsylvania. We had the most amazing backyard, and sadly it is no longer there. And we lived in a gorgeous Victorian house. And so for a romantic like me, it was perfect, but those look like bleeding hearts. And then we've got this emotional card. And so masculines, I'm hoping this is a good sign that maybe you are starting to think that there is a practical way this relationship could work, and that there is a potential there for a lasting foundation. And maybe you're thinking about giving that love away, which is why the bleeding hearts are here, but you're still sad, which is why they're bleeding. Because then again, we've got the 3 of Swords underneath it, the heartbreak card. So bleeding hearts would be very appropriate, right? And then we've got the Magician in reverse. Wow. I don't know why this strikes me as being particularly symbolic, but I feel like sometimes the messages just come to me really like matter-of-factly, right? Like I don't question it at all. And what I get from this is this energy sometimes can be somebody using force and manipulation in a bad way. But I don't see that here. I see this as an inability to manifest what you want. I see this as an inability to really put all of these pieces together and gather all the tools that you need, right? This guy has his runes, his sword, his wolf, his fire, his cup. Sorry, it's blurry. Freaking unicorn in the background, epic unicorn by Stonehenge and some lightning. Like this antler guy has it all going on, right? He's got everything he needs. Everything a magician could possibly want, right? Or a 14-year-old girl. But still, he's got all of the tools in his arsenal and he knows how to use them. What he wants, what he conceives in his brain, in his head, in his dreams, he brings down to earth, right? He manifests it in reality. He makes it so. This is a card of action, like really intense, really focused action, right? With some very sort of cosmic stuff going on. And it's on top of this 3 of Swords in reverse, and it's in reverse, which tells me that this heartbreak that this person is feeling that is making its way out, whatever the sadness is that they've endured, the grief they've endured, they felt absolutely powerless to it. Absolutely powerless. They don't know what to do. And they might have all these things. Maybe the potential's here, because a lot of times, guys, what I say is if the card's here, the potential's here. But they're not seeing it. Or they're not using it because for whatever reason, they don't know how. They don't understand that they have all these things. They have magic. But they don't know how to use it, or they don't even recognize it. Moving on, we've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse underneath the Ace of Pentacles. This guy has been coming up a lot in a lot of spreads for a lot of different signs. Again, Taurian males, I mean, we've got pentacles on pentacles and another pentacle, okay? And there's a lot of earth action in this card too. I mean, all the elements are involved, but there's a lot of foundational, practical health, wealth, and spirituality energy here. I don't think this has to do with your job. I just think this has to do with practical matters. I think you're thinking about things in a really practical way. You have a lot of grief, yes. You have heartbreak, but there's a practicality element here that needs to be considered. And this knight here has felt very off course and very off track. And that's why he's upside down. Now he's on top of this foundation card. I think maybe because that foundation is there, it's sort of the underlying energy, right? That seed has been planted. It does have the potential to grow, but this guy doesn't know. When I see this Knight in reverse, because this is a grown-up version of the page here, right? He's a grown-up version of the page. So either he's seeing his feminine like this, maybe. I don't think so, though. This card, I always get someone that's off course. And that could pertain to work, maybe in their job or their career. I always say, like, you've lost your path, you've lost your way. Maybe your horse ran away. You know, you feel misguided, misdirected. You don't feel like the things that you're working towards are practical. that they are giving fruit to, and that they're flowering, right? And he's got daffodils in the background there. And this guy is very dependable with his bowl cut. He's probably not getting many of the ladies, I don't know, with that hair. But anyway, he's very practical. He is very reliable. He's very dependable. He's further along in the process in this other page where he actually has acquired some of his own skills. And he's able to be an apprentice in a way in which he can have a little bit more leadership, right? He can do a little bit more on his own. He's got more independence. He's got more maturity. He understands a little bit more about the way the world works. But in this position, I don't ever see this as a negative energy when this guy's reversed. I just see it more of a not knowing, a being unsure, a feeling like that foundation isn't there. Okay, so what I see is this person really emotionally wanting to contemplate giving this love, but not seeing the lessons, not learning the lessons, or not having yet really worked through the grief that has to do with this heartache. This Three of Swords that's working its way out, and then having all the tools necessary to change it, but not knowing how and feeling really, really powerless. And then underneath it, even though there's a foundation here, feeling like they don't know how to implement it. Feeling like they just really don't know which way to go. Okay, from a practical standpoint. And I think that's really what this is. It's not enough to just be feeling a certain way. But you also have to believe that the potential is there and then understand how to move forward and actually implement it. This is really slow right now, guys. You're in a very slow, kind of a very much of a limbo standstill here. All right. And trying to work through all this mess. Okay. But that foundation is there for you, which is really good. All right, feminines, let's clarify yours, even though I don't really know that we need to all that much. I definitely want to look at this Eight of Swords, but I'm going to go ahead and pull a clarifier again for your lovers, your Eight of Swords, and your Two of Cups cards. Okay. So we're clarifying for Taurian twin flames for July. Also, guys, if you want a personal reading, my email is in the description box. And you can also check out my Facebook and Instagram pages as well if you like. All right. So on top of the Lovers card, I have the Eight of Pentacles. This guy comes up a lot for me too. This is the worker card. This is the master builder, master carpenter. This guy has just put in, I'm sorry, we have it's the 7. I'm so sorry. He is coming up a lot too, along with the 8. But he has built all of these pentacles. He's made all these pentacles. He has been busting his butt planting this tree. Seems wiping the sweat off his brow. He's ready for a beer. And he is ready to see the fruits of his labor come into fruition. So I think that this is directly related to this card. You have been busting your butt, ladies, feminines, trying to work towards this love and this ideal of love. And I think you've really been trying to figure out what that means to you. Again, health, wealth, and spirituality. How do all these things play a role in attracting this type of ideal love that you want, following your heart, right? You have been working on that so very hard. And I do believe in a very practical way because this is a pentacle. And again, this like really overwhelming earth energy. Taurus says, you've got so much earth here. And I can't wait to dive into these next 2 cards. So yeah, you have just been working so hard and it is time for the fruits of your labor to come out. And remember when I talked about this softly, the tender touch, right? This is done. No more worky for you. Okay, feminines, you have put in the work. You have done a great job. It is time to stand back and let divine timing take over and let your fruit ripen. Okay, you can't force it. This is not forcing. This is about waiting, knowing, and understanding the efforts you've put in will produce results. And then on top of this, what do we have here? We have the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. This lady is all about, in the upright, she's all about sitting with her beautiful, luxurious coins and her giant headdress, right? That hat. She's going to a Kentucky Derby party and she feels like she looks fly, right? She's like, that's right. I'm chilling with all my coins. Check these babies out. She's worked really hard for her money. This is the card of independence. I see this as a really strong, feminine, kind of single, self-made woman who's really just reveling in her in her single life and in her job, and she's just having a good time, and she knows herself. Health, wealth, and spirituality, right? It's not just about the money. It's not just about the confidence. It's not just about being fierce. This is about knowing yourself. That's where the fierceness comes from. I know what I want. I know what I need to do to get it. I'm happy being who I am, except you're not. So why is she in reverse? And why is she on top of the Eight of Swords? This is what's causing you the anxiety. You don't feel like you're in this element. And I believe that this has more to do with the outlying factor than whatever it is the masculine's going through. So feminines, let the masculine go through what they're going through. Yeah, he's moving really, really dang slow. But he's got to work through this pain and grief, and he's got to realize that he can be his own magician, and he's got the tools he needs. He has to come to that understanding, and he has to be the one to decide when it's time to offer love, if that's the way it's going to be. But you still have work to do. You need to work on yourself still. This has to do with your self-worth. Okay? This can also have to do with reevaluating your relationship to self-worth, which is another message I've been talking about a lot. How do you see wealth? Self-worth and wealth are directly connected, and they're directly connected to your love life. Okay? So how do you value wealth? Where does your self-worth come from, and what is your relationship to wealth? Because maybe you need to reevaluate it. And again, I don't mean to keep, beating my drum here, but the twin flame journey is all about reevaluating what your soul mission is. What do you do for money? How do you serve the world? How do you put yourself out there in your work life? We all have to work to make money and pay bills. I understand that. But are you doing something else to get your soul feeling rich? Because that's what this is about. It's not just about what the numbers on your paycheck at the end of the week, right? This is about how you love yourself. How do you connect with your spirituality? How do you connect with what's in your soul and what's in your heart? What do you really want out of life? Right? That's what we need to look at here. And this could also be looking at how confident we feel despite how successful we feel and how we measure our success. So we need to be looking at ourselves from this angle, right? Focusing on all that we have, focusing on abundance and what we have, and that being good enough as opposed to what we don't. And what does lack get us? It gives us this. Fear I'm not making enough money. Fear I'm not successful enough in my job. Fear that my title isn't good enough. I need a better title. I need to make more money. I did all of that stuff, guys. I got my title, I had my money, I was working in a fancy hotel. I was busting my butt for things that it quickly became apparent to me did not matter to me. They can matter to other people all day long. That's fine. I'm not telling you to judge others. I'm just telling you to get real with yourself. Get real with yourself. Figure out what worth means to you. Reevaluate if you have to, if you can, what you do to make money, what you do to serve others in this life and serve yourself, okay? Coming into a place of receiving. And if it means that you are already coming from a point where you feel abundance in your life, no matter what, no matter your hardships, no matter the fact that you only have 2 cans of black beans left on the pantry shelf, no matter that you can't afford to go out with your friends this weekend, find other ways to feel fulfilled. That's what this is about, okay? All right, moving on. Right underneath that, on this 2 of Cups, twin flame relationship, what do we have? The High Priest in reverse. This is the Hierophant in the traditional tarot decks, reversed. This is a breaking down of something very traditional. This has to do with marriages. This has to do with religious institutions. This has to do with educational institutions. This has to do with study and teaching and mentorship. And it's in the reverse. So, and it's in the reverse on top of this 2 of Cups. I know what message I always get from this kind of combo. But I think that overall what this is saying is that your twin flame relationship is not going to be a traditional one. It's not going to follow suit of a traditional marriage, maybe. It's not built on the same foundations that that society deems to be acceptable sometimes. And that, well, often with twin flames, right? One of the biggest telling signs of the twin flame relationship, one of the biggest dynamics within the relationship is a big difference in something, right? So how do you differ from your twin? Do you have a different religion from them that can cause a lot of conflict in your families? Do you live in different countries? You know, are you just from such culturally different backgrounds? It's kind of shocking for you to be together. That's a lot about what this card speaks to, right? And especially being on top of the union here, I'm looking at this as a very straightforward meaning that this relationship does not have traditional implications behind it. But that's okay. But I think that this might be coming out to tell you that you need to recognize that and you need to maybe come to terms with that a little bit. All right, it's not going to follow the status quo. It's not going to follow the traditional structures that are in place. Society's, socially speaking, as other relationships, right? Yeah. And then again with the sun in reverse, and there's something hasn't all been revealed yet. I think you guys are still just in a little bit of this dark place because you're still working through your stuff. Right? Like most twin flames in separation, we're still working through our stuff. We still need to get away from this, whatever this is. Right? And again, getting yourself to a more emotionally fulfilling place. Feminines, I think this is pertaining to you too, because you need to reevaluate your relationship with wealth, and you need to cultivate your self-worth still, and you need to work on that self-esteem and what it is that makes you feel fulfilled in your health, wealth, and spirituality, and that's causing you anxiety. That's a direct cause of your anxiety and your fear, and that's the outlying factor that's keeping you from really being able to get out of that grief, okay? And maybe really let this come into union. And then same thing here with the Eight of Cups in reverse for both masculines and feminines. Getting yourself to a more emotionally fulfilling place on your own, because that has to happen first, right, guys? Okay, moving on. I don't mean to be belaboring all of these points. I'm going to go ahead and pull a card from my Messenger Oracle deck. I'm going to pull one for the masculines, one for the feminines as sort of an overarching message. This is my curveball deck. That's what I call them. I'm still getting to know it. Some of my decks I've connected with right away. Some of my decks take a little bit longer. This is one of them because I was looking for animal totems and I ended up with this one because the images spoke to me more. But it always gives me curveball messages that I don't quite get at first. But I think it's important to just roll with it, right? Sometimes life throws us curveballs, and we need to remain flexible, bend like a reed in the wind, right? It's the best way to get through. So this is for Divine Masculine Taurians for the month of July. Pulling a Messenger Oracle card here for you to top off your reading. And then I will pull one card for each from my Vintage Wisdom Oracle deck that I love, 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 and did connect with right away. And it's so amazing. Okay. All right. Almost done. I'm just shuffling on the side over here a little bit, guys. Sorry. If you wonder what I'm doing down here, I'm shuffling. Okay. All right, masculines. All right. Got it. What do we have? Be vigilant. Be vigilant. Vigilance is about being diligent, coming from a place where you're still protecting yourself, but you are still working towards something as well, right? Be diligent, protect yourself, but fight for what you want. Okay? Stand up for yourself. I think that's what this is all about, standing up for yourself. So what is it that's making you feel like you can't be your own magician? What's making you feel powerless? Is this heartbreak itself making you feel powerless? Is that it? Just that you had your heart broken? Get in line, right? Not to be harsh, guys, but be vigilant. Stand up for what you want. Work towards what you want. Don't just rest on your laurels. Don't just stay upside down like this guy that fell off his horse and doesn't have the energy to get back up. You got to keep working towards it, okay? Feminines, let's see what you got. Looking for a message for feminines. For Taurus, twin flame for July. See yourself in nature. Pretty interesting. Look at this guy. I don't know. He's got a lot going on, doesn't he? He's kind of like a pan, right? It's a centaur. And there's a lot of pink roses in this picture. And he's looking pretty dreamy and romantic, huh, ladies? Feel like a guy with horns, right? So when we look at ways that we can reevaluate our self-worth, maybe this has to do with going out in nature, right? Getting back to a more natural sense of ourselves, appreciating the little things that we see every day and all the little symbols and all the little messengers that we see in nature. I highly recommend studying animal totems because I think it's really fun. I mean, you don't have to take this stuff too seriously, guys, right? But when you start to do that and you start to connect all these little synchronicities throughout your day, life becomes so much richer. So go out in nature. See yourself as reflected in nature. See how nature sees you. See how you can be a beautiful part of the world, right? How you contribute, how your beauty and your gentleness and your femininity contributes to the world. Okay? I think that's just a really pretty simple message. All right. Nothing too deep, but I still, and that's why I say these are curveballs sometimes, you know? But I still think it is important to see what you lend to the universe, right? Ways that you bring beauty into the world. And maybe that'll help you a little bit with reevaluating your relationship with wealth. Okay. All right. So one last card, Divine Masculines. Shadow Self. I got this for another sign who I said the entire reading wasn't recognizing their twin for what they were because they weren't connecting with this. So Divine Masculine, Taurian, see the blackbird up there, the crow? This is all about recognizing magic and the giant moon and the twin flame relationship. And this is all about the spiritual journey. This is all about recognizing the experiences that you are having as not being false, right? As really having validity. And I think that's what you're still dealing with here. That you're struggling with this shadow side, which is why you have all this grief and sadness and you're not looking at your lessons. You're not seeing those cups that are standing. You're not understanding what this is all about. And you feel powerless to this heartbreak because you're not taking the tools that you have to work towards what you really want and be vigilant and work towards what you want. Stand up for yourself because the foundation is there, but you're doing nothing. And this guy might actually be feeling overworked and a little abused and used in his job too. And that's the only thing that he's kind of focusing on, right? Just because he's kind of a worker guy, but he's in reverse. So this might feel like somebody that they don't have wealth. What they're working for isn't getting them what they want, right? That could be in the relationship or in their job, in life in general. But whatever it is, this person is too caught up in their heartache, in their heartbreak, and their grief. It is important to sit in your grief again, but they are too caught up in it. And they are not dealing with this. Or on the converse, they're trying to deal with this. This is what they're trying to come to terms with, but they're not there yet, and they're moving really slow. Okay, masculines, that's what I have for you. So my advice actually would be this. Get in touch with this. All right, that's the only way you're going to move forward because The potential is here, but you need to get your emotions in order and get yourself to a higher level of being, emotionally speaking, okay? And work towards this enlightenment. Get yourself out of this darkness you're in. Masculine is in darkness. Okay? Whew. Okay, feminines. Last card for you. Even though we have this beautiful love card and the softly, softly, the tender, this flew out. So we're just going to go with it. Strength. Right? And I love that the wheel above her head is kind of like the Wheel of Fortune. And it says star because it reminds me of the star card, which I look at as hope and healing. So strength. Remain strong. This isn't the strength. That's the same as in the tarot deck and the Rider-Waite deck, which talks about taming your inner beast. This one is more about, I think, just strength on an outer level. Right? Internal strength, yes, you need to have emotional strength. You need to have resilience. But I look at this as being more like you need to have hope. You need to allow yourself to heal and you need to remain strong through it. Right? But I think this just has to do with having strength in everything you're going through in your everyday life. Right? Yeah. In all of this hard work that you've done, having faith, even in your anxiety, and you're feeling like not so hot, not so independent, not so like you can revel in your single badass, life here. And then recognizing that your union is going to have one that is not going to have foundations that are not necessarily traditional and not necessarily viewed as being the societal ideal. Okay? Have strength through that. See yourself in nature, connect with nature, look for signs in nature. Maybe look for like a hot centaur guy in the forest and have strength. All right? To move through and understand that this is possible. We can attract beautiful love through our gentleness and through our positive manifestation. Whew, okay, that was a lot. I hope you guys got something good out of these messages. I was really, really excited to do this for you today, and I hope you will join me next month for more on this, and hopefully this has progressed a little bit in a positive manner. But until then, much love and light to you. Namaste until next time.